This review was made possible by contributions from viewers like you.
Spooky, scary Bob Shoween, we're creepy, eerie pros. It's time for some of the worst movies and TV shows. Spooky, scary Bob Shoween, dribble, junk, and tripe. Maybe even a treat or two if you believe the hype. We're so sorry, cinema, but have you any pride? If you wanted to be good, then you should have tried. Spooky, scary Bob Shoween for entertaining you. We will make you laugh and scream, so just relax and boom! Greetings, one and all. Do you like scary stories? Do you like the dark? I certainly hope so, because my executive producers at Patreon.com have decided that we should review scary stories to tell in the dark. You all remember those classic tales of terror from your childhood, don't you? Then again, it's entirely possible that you don't remember these classic tales of terror, since they might have been banned from your local library. Back in the day, parents were pissed that books with illustrations this graphic and morbid were available to children. But let's be real here, that just made us want them more, am I right? Of course, it's only inevitable that a book series as beloved and notorious as this would be adapted for the silver screen, and that's what we're looking at today.
And spoiler alert, Rob and I are still dead after our little mishap in the last review.
Yeah, we're kind of working on that. But hey, at least we can change our costumes. Most ghosts don't get that luxury. Today's movie comes to us from CBS Films, and I'm already puzzled by the lack of their familiar CBS logo in the title. Maybe this movie embarrasses them? We open on the little town of Mill Valley, Pennsylvania, in the year 1968. Works for me. We can proceed secure in the knowledge that our juvenile protagonists aren't going to be glued to their phones all day. And we actually have a story.
Now it's time to take yourselves out of your graves, Mill Valley. It's Halloween. But be careful, because when the sun goes down, it's the season of the witch.
No, that's Halloween 3. We find our gore fodder, main characters, preparing for their final year of trick-or-treating, while their school bully, since there has to be one, prefers to spend his free time harassing his parents' farm equipment.
Eat shit, Harold.
I wonder who's gonna die first.
You know what I wonder? Why Harold the Scarecrow here looks like a corpse. I mean, sure, it's a very good likeness of Harold from the story, but in-universe, why does it look like this? Is this a Halloween mask that's been reappropriated into the Scarecrow's construction? Because it looks a lot more detailed than what a mask of the time would look like. Might as well criticize the book while I'm at it. Why does it look like this when it's described as being made out of just a bunch of sacks stuffed with straw? He should look like a traditional Scarecrow. And why are his legs spread like that? Shouldn't it be his arms? Sorry, I'm getting off track. We need to focus on more important things, like how this kid carefully and meticulously fished a turd out of the toilet for his Halloween pranking.
I got the goods.
There are dogs, you know. Using their poop is significantly easier. Stella's putting the finishing touches on her witch costume. Our little fecal-philiac friend wanted to be Spider-Man, but apparently his mom made him up to look like this. His friend here is dressed up like a Pierrot, except his goofy costume was intentional. It's bad enough that these kids are regular targets of bullies, but is this kid trying to get beaten up? One anachronistic styrofoam jack-o'-lantern later, we cut to later that night where these kids do indeed attract the attention of their tormentors.
Now for the coup d'etat.
Why wasn't that line given to the Perrault kid? If you're gonna indulge in the weird, creepy French clown, possédez-le. And where most kids with a flaming bag of poo would just leave it on someone's doorstep, these kids throw it into this bully's lap. Standing up for yourself, lighting your enemies on fire, it's basically the same thing.
It's only a crime if you get caught.
Our now fully justified would-be manslaughter victims chase down the attempted murderers into a drive-in, but they duck into the car of some weirdo who has his doors unlocked, and is watching the movie by himself. They get acquainted with Ramon here, but it isn't long before they're made.
Everyone needs to get out. Now. You too. Wetback.
Movie. We already know that they're the bad guys. You put them in Letterman jackets. Did you really need to go there? Really? Tommy here makes a remark about Stella's mom running out on her family, and then he's chased away off the lot.
Excuse me for a second.
Her mom left when she was a kid, just like that.
Yeah, people wouldn't stop talking about it, though. You know, we live in a small town.
Yeah, the gossip got really mean. Yeah, and we're like her only friends now.
So I would say she's definitely not your type.
It's Stella, she's not anyone's type.
She misses her mom, and that makes her undateable?
Look out, she's got baggage!
Tell me you at least got a switchblade. Can I see your switchblade?
Did I say I had a switchblade?
No, I guess you didn't say you had. He has a switchblade.
Not satisfied with your bullies having casual racism? Make your heroes have casual racism too! Since they got nothing better to do, they decide to check out their local haunted house on the outskirts of town.
Told you it wouldn't disappoint.
It's disappointing me. This movie is so absurdly dark I can't even see it. They almost turn back upon finding out that this place is locked up tight, but thanks to a pen that he bums off of Chuck the Spider Boy, Ramon easily picks the lock. Movie. You can't give this kid crap for belonging to a group that's ostracized for breaking into places, and then make him an expert at breaking into places!
Maybe he's just the rogue archetype?
They start to snoop around, and Stella starts telling the story of the family that used to live here.
The Bellows had a secret, a daughter, that they never allowed to leave the house. The myth is that there was something really off about her.
A really scary part is that her family erased her from every single portrait. To this day, nobody's ever found a picture of Sarah.
If they didn't want her in the portraits, then why did they include her in them in the first place? Did they just want to be especially dickish to her and rub salt in the wound? By the way, did nobody think of bringing a flashlight? I'm sorry about my comment on the lack of cell phones in this movie, because this is making me want to scramble for mine just so I can have some ambient light. Hang on, let me play with the levels here for a sec. There, much better.
Kids would come from all over in hopes to get a peek at strange Sarah. And though they never saw her, they could hear her through the wall. Sarah told them stories. Scary stories.
To tell in the dark, roll credits.
Some kids never returned home. Children around town died. Poisoned, they said. Everyone knew it was Sarah. But before the mob could even get their hands on her, she'd already hung herself with her own hair.
They eventually find a secret tunnel into the basement. Crap. Time for the secret tunnel song.
Secret tunnel, secret tunnel, through the mountains, secret, 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 secret tunnel, yeah!
But their little trip into the basement comes to a stop as they come across another lock. Oh, come on, really? He actually does have a switchblade? I'm so confused. Is this movie actually promoting racism? And if he knows how to jimmy locks with a switchblade, why didn't he immediately whip it out at the front door? Meanwhile, Chuck is wandering around upstairs, and he sees this freaky little scene. You see? Things can actually be scary when you can see them! Naturally, this leaves him with a second bag of poo, and he joins Stella and Ramon in the basement.
This is where her family kept her. Locked her away from the world. All alone as some sort of freak. She must have just sat right here and told her stories to the kids through this wall.
1. How did anybody hear about this girl when her family's trying to sweep her under the rug? 2. Once people started hearing this girl, why did they not report her to the police? 3. How could they hear her at all through a brick wall? Stella finds a collection of all the scary stories that Sarah Bellows used to tell, and sure, it's unnerving that these stories are the last story you'll ever hear before they kill you, but that's not what the scary stories are. These books are a collection of folklore and urban legends gathered from all over the place. They're scary because they just might happen to anyone from anywhere. Repurposing them into something that's only frightening because they're the last thing you'll hear before some crazy lady poisons you takes away from the original stories' reputation. Wait a minute, how is she supposed to have poisoned the kids that she's telling the stories to if she's trapped in the basement? Stella takes the book, but since that Tommy kid followed them, somehow, and ruined Ramon's car, it looks like they're all walking home. Stella lets the shady drifter stay in her basement for the night, which is okay because he's dreamy, and she cracks open the book and finds a story entitled Harold. Curiously, it also has a Tommy in the text. On the one hand, that is a rather grisly way to go, and it couldn't possibly happen to a nicer guy. But, on the other hand, given his affinity for using the word wetback, I can't help but think he should die by drowning in a river or something. Later at school, Tommy's disappearance is all that anyone can talk about.
Nothing happened to us in that house except for what Tommy did to us. If he's gone, good riddance. You should never have gone there. You should never have taken the book. You let a ghost story get into your heads. That's all it is.
He's the next to die.
Oh yeah. Since Stella is spooked by having read Harold's story, they go to Tommy's cornfield to investigate, where they find Harold wearing Tommy's jacket. She's worried that the stories are coming true. She takes some initiative and puts the book back in Sarah Bellows' basement, only to find it back in her room when she gets home. As we predicted, that Perot kid is indeed the next to die, as the book manifests the story of the Big Toe.
Mother was digging at the edge of the garden when she saw a big toe. It looks nice and plump. She said, I'll put it in the stew. What kind of story is that?
Hey, I'm eating. Stella!
Augie, do not eat anything. Listen, you're in the next story. Whatever you do not eat anything.
But it's so cheesy.
I don't know which is worse, the toe or the cheese.
Am I not supposed to wait for someone to say that? Because I don't hear.
Listen, we're reading it right here. And then the voice grew louder. Who took my toe?
All alone. There's no voice.
No, there has to be a voice.
You're the only one saying it.
At which point Stella suddenly shrieks in pain and terror as she discovers that her toe is missing. At this point, I need to give a shout out to my guest writer, Ben, who thought that this eyeball was somehow not as bad as eating a toe. Sick bastard. Clown Boy hides under his bed, just so he can get sucked away into nothing. Okay. I commented on how Tommy's death would have been more appropriate if it was linked to how much of a racist prick he is, but at least it was given to him by the scarecrow he was abusing. There's nothing about this kid that demands he be haunted by the big toe, and with this setup, it really looks like his body should have been harvested for ingredients for the soup, but no? Just have him disappear into his wall? Okay, I guess. The next day, they gather their few remaining friends to try to figure out how to stop this.
Where's Augie?
Augie's gone.
Another story was written. Right in front of our eyes.
First, Tommy disappeared. And then now Augie. They had their stories in the book, and it happens every night. You don't read the book. The book reads you.
No, not really. If the book reads you, then it would give you a death that's a lot more personalized and ironic.
The same thing's gonna happen to all of us. We were all in that house. No, this isn't real, okay? Stories can't hurt you.
Sweetie, take it from a guy who's been reviewing terrible movies for 12 years. Stories can definitely hurt you. Chuck's sister Ruth bails on them because she has a play to perform in that night, so the rest of them try to research anything they can about Sarah Bellows that might give them a clue on how to stop her. But then the book starts writing again. About Ruth.
One night, a spider crawled across a young girl's cheek and bit her.
Spider? I was the Spider-Man!
This first draft of Amazing Fantasy number 15 is weird. Speaking of weird, Ruth has had this bizarre growth on her cheek all day that's only getting bigger and bigger, but now that she's about to go on stage, it's about the size of a golf ball. She goes to the restroom to try to deal with it, but... wait a minute. What's up with this backdrop she runs past? Why would Bye Bye Birdie have a backdrop that looks like an illustration from the book? And what's with this hay on the chairs? Oh my god, it's the remains of Tommy! For those of you who are a bit squeamish, I suggest you skip ahead to the timestamp below. To Ruth's horror, this growth is actually an egg sac, as thousands of spiders burst out of her face! This... somehow doesn't kill her like it killed the other two kids, and she's rushed off to the hospital. The 3 remaining kids learn that Sarah was taken to the hospital herself, so they go there to see what they can dig up.
I had this messed up dream again. I was trapped in the red room, and there's that fat, pale lady who keeps whispering, "This is an evil place. Run away while you still can."
Okay, just stay here. Be quick. You'll be fine.
Admittance records, psychological exams, what she ate.
This is everything. She was admitted by her own family.
Committed. She was committed by her own family.
It says here that she was suffering from achromasia albinism.
They put her in her basement because she was different.
Wow, the hospital from the early 1900s had substandard care? That's impossible.
And if she had achromatic albinism, doesn't that mean she was sensitive to the light? Putting her someplace where there was as little light as possible wasn't unreasonable, especially for the time.
And wait a minute, if she was taken to the nut house, then how could she tell kids her scary stories from her basement? Anyway, Chuck gets separated from them, and he's haunted by the pale lady from the story The Dream. Yeesh. Slap a sign that reads, "Free hugs" onto that girl, and she's ready for Comic-Con. And again, Chuck is disposed of in a way that has nothing to do with his character, or anything he did before now. Wouldn't it make more sense if he was killed by the old lady? From the Red Room? The hospital staff finds them and turns them over to the police, and it's revealed that Ramon was passing through town while draft dodging. Since he and Stella are the only suspects in the case of all these kids disappearing, they have to be held for questioning.
I should have told you. You must think I'm a coward, but
I would never think that.
You just never struck me as 18 is all. Wait, how old are you? I'm 16. Okay, time to go. He confesses that he ran away after the army sent his brother back to him in pieces. Then the book starts writing again, as it tells the story of Me Tai Doty Walker, which is actually a hybrid story of Me Tai Doty Walker and What Do You Come For? A dismembered corpse falls down the chimney and reconstitutes into the body of Troy James, aka Ragdoll from CW's The Flash. This dismembered corpse is guilting Ramon about his draft dodging? Is there any reason why they made no effort into making this thing look like his dismembered brother?
That'd certainly make more sense than it looking like Mr. Clipboard.
Survival of the fittest, leather.
They manage to free themselves and they make it back to Sarah's house. Sarah gets into Stella's head and shows her a vision of how she was abused by her family. Okay. Stella already knew this thanks to all the homework that she did. Homework which she wouldn't have to do if you were always capable of just showing her this the whole time. She finally confronts Sarah's ghost. She says that she'll tell everyone what really happened to her. And to sweeten the deal, Sarah gives her a pen to start writing in her book. With a little bit of her own blood, of course.
Sarah Bellows was innocent. She knew the truth. and tried to stop them. She was blamed. She was harmed and destroyed by her own family.
And then she left the Earth for no reason. So her ghost is finally at peace. Ramon's not-brother falls apart before he can kill him, and the movie ends with a little sequel hook.
Chuck and Augie are still gone. But I know there is a way to bring them back and that the secret is in the book. And we won't stop until we find them.
Stay tuned for Scary Stories 2, The Cash Grab. So that was Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It's an okay horror film, but as an adaptation, it's really lacking. The visual effects were interesting and it had some creepy moments, but that's assuming you're able to see them in the first place. As a story, it was too convoluted to the point of not making any sense, when it really would have benefited from being a lot simpler. The creepy appeal of these stories is that they were gathered from all over the place, and they don't need some supernatural element like a malevolent, ghostly storyteller to bring them to life. They simply became real through repetition and hearsay. The original Scary Stories book is only 89 pages long, and the tales within them are really more just anecdotes than actual stories. Rather than try to recreate a sprawling narrative around them, I think this would work better as an anthology featuring every story in their little entirety. Imagine a couple of kids spending the evening in a spooky abandoned house, and they're reading Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. The question of if these stories are actually real is brought up, but they just shrug it off. Of course they can't be real. Nothing real could possibly be so nightmarish. So they read on into the night, each story carrying over into the next, and where things started out looking perfectly normal, each story makes the movie look a little more desaturated, more sketchy, more gritty, more hairy, more slimy. The entire movie ends up looking like a horrible Stephen Grammel illustration, and just when you think you can't take any more, that you're gonna break and your mind will forever fall into madness, the kids close the book, and everything is back to normal. They realize what time it is, and they decide to head on home. Just to find that giant head growing out of the ground like on the cover of the book, which then eats them in one bite! Did that blow your mind? I'll take that as a yes. Bye, everybody.
I'll tell these stories one by one. By morning you will all be gone. I'm writing. Stories heard and stories healed with children's blood. These words are real. I'm writing. You think you're brave, you want it in. You've woken up the souls within. I'm writing. Oh, nothing's gonna save you now. My name is Apple. I'll hunt you screaming through the night. Scream through the night. I'll find my big dough and drag you under with a fry. Where's my dough? You see me smiling. I'm always standing right there. Run, I will find. Build my body, then you'll die. Build my body, then you'll die. So you think you've had enough of stories dipped in child's blood? I'm writing. I need to return the book. I'm sorry you're misunderstood. I'm writing. Oh, nothing's gonna save you now. Nothing's gonna save you now. My name is Apple. I'll hunt you screaming through the night. Scream through the night. I'll find my big dough and drag you under with a fry. Where's my dough? You see me smiling. I'm always standing right there. Run, I will find. Build my body, then you'll die. Build my body, then you'll die.
Hello again, and welcome to this latest question of the review. And this, following the review of Wednesday, is what, Raven?
The question of the review is, who do you think should have been cast as Gomez Addams and why?
Because, of course, this was the largest problem with the entire series. Just this...
I think so. Luis Guzman and his utter lack of chemistry with Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yes.
His completely being unsuitable for the role.
Oh, come on. You don't believe that this could be Gomez?
That is not my Gomez. Hashtag not my Gomez. Never will be.
Nathan Lane is more your Gomez.
I would have taken Nathan Lane as a last resort. But I came up with some very good ideas. First of all, what do you think? Who do you think should have played Gomez?
I don't care how predictable this may be, but it's too easy for me to see Johnny Depp filling the role. And like the outcasts of Nevermore, Depp is always home in Tim Burton projects.
This is true. I recently saw an article where Tim Burton said that while he does not foresee an Edward Scissorhands sequel, he does foresee him and Johnny Depp ending up working together again on a project.
Yeah, because Depp is pretty much Burton's avatar. If there's a role in a movie that's supposed to be the most Burton, it's going to be Depp. But, yes, we appreciate Beetlejuice, and we are hoping and praying for a Beetlejuice thrice, but we can keep Edward Scissorhands as a one-off. We know, Mr. Burton, that you don't really care for sequels unless you make sure that they're absolutely right. Hang on to that mentality. We need that.
And my answer for this question was, for pure sex appeal and ability to pull off a larger-than-life role, I'd pick Pedro Pascal. If we must go with someone who resembles the original comic strip Gomez for some reason...
Because that's the trend these days.
Okay, you want someone short, you want someone round, at least get someone that can act like Gomez. How about Gabriel Iglesias? At least he has charisma, comedy chops, and great acting instincts. I could fall in love with Fluffy.
And I have no idea who his quintessential Morticia would be, but I want to see him being Gomez opposite Catherine Zeta-Jones.
He'd make it work. And like I said, at least he's charming. At least he's likable.
He is very likable.
Catherine did not know what to do with Louise Guzman. I'm sorry. She was fighting for her life, but it ruined her Morticia.
Yeah.
That and the weird relationship they wrote for her and Wednesday. Morticia and Wednesday. That was not the mother-daughter dynamic that I was expecting.
Not typically, no. But we have to remind ourselves that this is a rebellious teenage Wednesday. She's going to be kicking and screaming the entire way about bonding with Mother and ew.
And more of a point of order than a absolute failure like the casting of Louise Guzman.
Exactly. It's something you got to think about. Something that you can get used to. But hopefully things are a little bit better when season 2 comes out next year. Woo! It's coming. Spice Up Your Afterlife says, personally, I would have cast Pedro Pascal as Gomez and Eva Green as Morticia. Yeah, a lot of people agree with you that Pedro Pascal would be the ultimate Gomez for this show.
He's adorable. He can act. He's good looking.
Very true. And Eva Green as Morticia. I like that. We've already seen her in a handful of Burton projects already, so we know that they can work together. But she can either be very seductive, or she can lay on the crazy eyes like nothing else. She looks to me like she might pull off Morticia from the new Addams Family from the late 90s. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
I like both Louise Guzman and Catherine Zeta-Jones, but I agree with Raven in that they both suck at this show. Pedro Pascal has such chaotic golden retriever energy with a unique,
for sure.
with a unique kind of sex appeal, and Eva Green has that black cat energy with absolutely no fear of appearing weird or ugly. That'd be perfect.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yes, of course there's no risk of her being ugly, but just the fact that she might be seen as just too, what the hell are you, in this particular light. If you're not afraid of that, then you can do anything.
There you go.
And Home Cruise also says Pedro Pascal will be a good Gomez, but not as elaborately as the previous one.
Gabriel Kane, the creative kid, says, in a weird way, I want to see Wilmer Valderrama I had never known his name. I never knew his name, but I do watch NCIS. He's Special Agent Nick Torres from NCIS playing Gomez. I can't see it, but anyway, he has the great sex appeal to do so. That's true, and he has this suaveness about him that kind of gives off Raul Julia a bit. Another option I have is if David Mazouz, how do you pronounce that? Mazouz?
I think it's Mazouz.
Mazouz was a little older, Bruce Wayne from Gotham. He could do an interesting Gomez too. No. He's a baby. I don't care that he's an adult. He's a baby.
He is.
You see that face? That's a baby.
He is a wonderful actor, but
he is.
It sucks that we had to see him grow up through Gotham, because it's gonna be so hard to see him past that little boy crying in Crime Alley. It's similar to this other actor in Gotham. It's like the guy who played Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow. I'm sorry, I forget your name, actor, who I admire greatly. This was the same kid who played Victor Frankenstein in the remake of Frankenweenie. Yes, he's doing great with the material as this kid who's haunted by the Scarecrow and has to become the Scarecrow to overcome his fear and inflict that same fear on everyone he meets. But at the same time, all I see is just this sad little boy who's crying for the loss of his dog.
Oh. And Gabriel continues with, I'm probably going to Bandcamp for the second option, but hey, screw it. For the people who are saying Fluffy is Gomez, sure. If you want a bad parody version of the Addams Family, then yeah, he could be good. Absolutely, Bandcamp.
Away with you.
That's right. You are sentenced to Bandcamp
for having an opinion that differs from ours.
That's right. You're only allowed to like the stuff we like, don't you know? That's what we say. That's our whole shtick.
We say that all the time.
Oh, God.
Evie Rawlings says, I'm going to say Antonio Banderas. He can bring the sex appeal, the larger-than-life attitude, and we already know that he and Catherine Zeta-Jones can act well together. Very true. Very true. And one thing I especially love about Antonio Banderas is that, in spite of being this really big star, he can laugh at himself.
Yeah.
And you kind of need it to have that if you're doing something as silly and ridiculous as the Addams Family. Just thinking back to him playing Puss in the Shrek movies. He is this suave, dashing musketeer of a cat. And what's his ultimate weapon? Just looking cute. Stops everyone dead in their tracks.
But again, Pedro Pascal, I don't know, he's more perfect, but Antonio Banderas would be a good second choice, I have to say. Although Antonio Banderas get a little old for that.
Hey,
a little bit old.
Hey, don't you judge. Maybe Morticia's into that.
Shauna Tonin says, I would say Bob's Show. He did it for his reviews, and I'd watch the TV Netflix series. Absolutely.
No.
Sign me up to watch that.
No, I can't do it.
You can pull it off. Unfortunately, you'd be too much Raul Julia.
Is that what you're seeing in me?
Downfall. I do. You pull off, and you're not Latin, so it could, I don't know, could get dangerous.
Well, neither was John Aston. But I appreciate the vote of confidence, but I could not be Gomez. That is way too much pressure. I'm gonna let everyone down. Wolf Entertainment has one of my favorite options here. Denny Trejo. He's good at being kooky and scary, which, yes, are very Addams-like traits, but Denny Trejo? Really?
This is the journey that I went through when I read that answer. It's like, no, wait, maybe, yeah, I can see it. You know, I mean, he's not like sexy, but
Catamia.
He could pull off kind of a smolder. He's a great actor.
And
he is definitely not afraid to laugh at himself. It'd be goofy.
And most importantly, he is Morticia's howling, snarling demon that frightens her.
Absolutely. So yeah, not my first choice, not someone I would have thought of without this answer, but yeah, I can see it after thinking about it. Maybe so.
Last night you were unhinged. You were like some desperate howling demon. You frightened me. Do it again.
Do it again, Machete.
Do it again, Gypsy's daddy from The Flash.
I forgot his name too. Ryan Downey says, my first choice would have been Oscar Isaac.
Brilliant.
Yeah. He's even Latino, being from a Guatemalan mother and a Cuban father. Yeah. Oscar Isaac could have pulled it off.
There are actually a handful of fan arts out there that have him wearing the suit. He already looks like Gomez since he already played him twice in the animated films.
There you go.
Googamp says, Sasha Dawan, whose name I'm probably saying incorrectly here. On top of already looking like Gomez, his stint as the Master on Doctor Who, as opposed to the Master from Manos, the Hands of Fate,
Stop it.
showed that he could pull off the morbid yet exuberant playful qualities that the character is best known for. Absolutely.
Now, he is not Latino. He is of Indian descent. And my first thought was no. And then I looked at a picture of him, and I was same thing with Danny Trejo. I was like, no, wait a minute. Maybe? We didn't get past maybe on Sasha Dewan, but maybe. I could see it.
He's got that weird handsomeness that Gomez should have.
Yeah, I was just thinking that he's that unusual good looking. He's not like you'd drool as you saw him walk past on the street, but if you thought about it, might see it.
Again,
that kind of thing.
Raul Julia. Dashing.
No!
Dashing
Raul
as...
Julia did a good Gomez, but he was not good looking. I'm sorry.
Raven has a secret crush on M. Bison.
Of course!
Shampoo hater,
yes.
says, how about Mark Consuelos from Riverdale? He can pull off Gomez, no problem. All he needs is the mustache and the suit. And I didn't know who he was because we don't watch Riverdale. Edgelord Archie. We haven't seen that. But
why?
I looked up Mark Consuelos. And
why does that exist?
No on Mark Consuelos. He's too good looking. That man is sculpted by the gods. He would out-pretty Morticia. We cannot have Mark Consuelos. I'm sorry. He's too pretty.
No, you can't out-pretty Morticia. He's supposed to be good looking enough to believe that she would marry him, certainly.
Which is another way they failed with Luis Guzman.
Oh, come on. You're not turned on by him?
This is a comic strip. I don't read the comic strip. Give me my good-looking Gomez.
Or at least you're not hard to look at, Gomez.
Yeah. Not uncomfortable.
Ooh, Nathan Lane.
No, but I still like him more than Luis Guzman. Like I said, fluffy. I'm not drooling over Gabriel Iglesias, but I can see him in the role. At least he's likable. Gomez can't have a lisp. I'm sorry. No. No lisp.
This doesn't sound suave to you?
No.
Oh, winding you up is so much fun.
Other than I have no opinion.
You have no opinion, yes.
And finally, Alex Harrison says, just bring Raul Julia back from the dead. Amen.
Yeah.
As long as you don't use AI to do it. No deep fake. But if you could actually resurrect Raul Julia and stick him in the movie, perfect.
Yes, using deepfakes would be unethical, but actual physical resurrection from the dead, that's fine, do that.
It's all in good fun.
Absolutely. So yes, thank you all for your wonderful answers. These were a hoot to go through and read them off for you. And as always, we will see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Subscribe, like, follow, comment, share, watch more.